All right. So I think we've covered your entire life,
You
Ophira.
did an amazing job. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That makes me feel good.
Thank
I
you.
really
No, and
do look
it's
up. I
nice
read
talking to
about
you.
people. I enjoy.
Yeah.
We both love talking to you.
Yeah. How about real life? We should try real life again.
I think that would be wonderful. Well, let's. We should hang out.
Yeah. I
Uh,
don't know when you are
I
in.
live in Jersey, so I mean,
Yeah.
but I
So you have to tell me when you're in the city.
I would come up anyway. Just if you said to me, "Hey,
Yeah.
Jules, come on up," and I go, what, Ophira, I think I'm going to come up,
Yeah.
and I would
Have
come up.
lunch or something. All
I
right.
think that would be so cool. I think that would
Okay.
be very cool. Yeah. All right.
Let's make that happen. I'd love that.
So would I.
Okay.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Julia, this isn't even a show. Julia just does this to meet new people.
Welcome to Comedy Centric, your place for all things comedy. Every week, we'll discuss the legends and the people who built the business, the performers, writers, behind the scenes, and stories that you have never heard. So relax, take a load off, and join us for this episode of Comedy Centric. Now, the host of your show, nationally headlining comedian, a woman with a wicked sense of humor and a killer Jersey accent, Julia Scotti.
Oh, I was grooving. Another opening, another show. Hi, that's Kathy Caldwell, and I'm Julia Scotti.
Yes, you are. Look at your pretty blouse. What do you have on your blouse there? You did a
where's-
little.
there it is.
Is that a windmill and a flower?
It's a flower. No, it's a flower.
it's just a flower. It looks like a sunflower.
This was hand embroidered by I don't know,
Somebody's hand.
Somebody in Vietnam hand embroidered it. So how you doing, Cat?
Luck. Hey, I'm okay. You know what though? I found myself losing my temper more.
Why? Tell me.
Well, no, it just happens with age. Like I was in this store and the woman like didn't wait on me forever. Okay, it's a makeup store, and I'm waiting away, and literally 15 minutes. And so finally, my turn comes, and she talked to me for a second, and somebody else came in, and she's like, "I'll be right back with you, ma'am." And somebody else came in, and then somebody else came in. I know. And so, as I check out, they're like, well, can I get your email address so I can, or your...
She asked you or you asked her?
Yeah, she asked me.
Yeah.
So I said, I give her they asked your phone number, your blood type, your last 4 digits of your, all that bullshit. So I get this text. Hi, it's Aaron from blah, blah, blah. We're having specials, and if you tell them you're with me, you get whatever. And I was having a bad day.
Yeah.
And I texted Aaron back. And this was early in the morning, so nobody had even pissed me off yet. But I texted her back. I'm like, hey, last time I was in the store, you wouldn't give me the time of day.
Yeah.
And she was like, and she said, well, I'm sorry you felt that way. And then I deleted her.
Did you actually have her on the... You had her... She was actually texting you back?
Yeah, she texted me back.
Wow.
She said, I'm sorry you feel that way. And,
but
then I kind of felt bad.
Yeah, I'm not going to change being an asshole.
Yeah.
Don't feel
and
bad.
I never do that. Now I kind of feel bad. So I just don't know.
No, I know you. You know who does? You know who's notorious for that? My sister.
Really?
Oh, God. Don't. If you're ever in a restaurant with my sister and the waitress isn't like waiting on you every single need, my sister will do this. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. And I'm like, I want to kill her. I do.
I'm just past. Like, I'm just like, I don't say anything. I'm just like, okay. And then I just vent or I build up. And then when you text me at 8:00 in the morning about the specials, I lose my shit.
Yeah. You want to mention
Aaron
her
from
name?
Aaron from the store. I'm sorry.
Which store? No.
I'm not gonna say, but I'm sorry, Aaron. If for some reason
I'm not. I think you did the right thing. I
don't think I did in hindsight. I try to be a better person, and I felt really shitty
not.
after.
You really are.
I'm not. I'm a very small woman.
But I love you anyway. But you're no, you're not. No, you're not.
Thank you. Okay. Hey, how's this? Enough about me and my
all right
bitchiness. I saw all the promotion for the big dry bar special. Julia
yeah.
Scotty, Jersey
my God,
Fresh is the name of it.
Jersey Fresh.
Do you
They
have
are.
it?
I gotta look and see because now that I know they're putting clips up of it, I'm
Yeah.
checking it like every 5 minutes. But the
Really?
first, I know I'm
This
so
is your
insecure.
dopamine fix, right? This
It
is
really is. Yeah. I don't know. It
like
was
me, like me, like me.
there was like some crazy. They put up these 2-3 minute clips, and like within 24 hours, there was like 50,000, 65,000 views on it. I know. So it's if you belong to Dry Bar, thank you. You know, if you
That's
don't,
great.
I know it's amazing. I
Oh,
wish
wow, I have to check it out.
yeah, it actually turned out pretty well. I did it a couple of years ago, a year and a half
Yeah.
ago, right after we could go back to work from the pandemic.
Oh.
I had to go out to Provo, Utah, which is
Was that nice?
beautiful.
Did you like that?
Oh, it's gorgeous. There's no,
Yeah.
It's very white. So that's a lot of very white.
Because Black people were smart enough to not go there, or Chinese people. So like,
Yeah.
like we're not
It's
going
very
there.
Mormon, very white. You can't get coffee there. I mean, it's a beautiful area. It's a gorgeous area.
How
surrounded
beautiful
by
can it be if you
mountains.
can't get coffee? You had to be
No.
going crazy.
I finally got coffee. I demanded it. I said, get me coffee or I'm
then,
going to
like,
hurt somebody.
And you said, I don't care if you go to hell.
You know
Get
who
me
else is a
coffee.
coffee junkie? And I found out today,
Who?
our guest. Our guest.
Really?
Yeah,
How did
she
you
is.
find that
I
out?
forget where it was. I was reading her stuff, and it said something about her being a coffee junkie. So,
Oh, we got to ask her about the
well, let's tell the
coffee.
people who she is. We have
Go for it.
Ophira Eisenberg's on today. You may know her from her PBS radio, NPR, PBS, ABC radio show called Ask Me Another. It was very popular. She did it for 9 years, and she got a new special out. So we're going to talk to her. We're getting some good guests lately.
We're really doing. Yeah, it's fun. We have interesting folk. Yeah,
It is fun. And I hope you guys people are starting to respond and telling us how much they like it. So we love
good.
hearing from you. So please tell us if you don't like us, and shut the hell up.
50,000 people. Have 50,000 people told us that yet? No.
No.
You're not getting dry bar.
We're going to talk about that one night about the people that troll us on social media, and this is happening with the dry bar too. It's just happening with
Aaron from the cosmetics.
Yeah, they're all a bunch of errands. But anyway, Ophira's in the green room, and we're gonna take a little break and a little breaky poo. We're gonna go get drunk a little bit. Hey, how's your finger, by the way? Good.
Still broken.
All right. Okay. All right.
Holding up my middle finger for anybody listening on a podcast.
I love you. See you in the near future. We'll be right back.
There's a God in heaven.
Hi there, everybody. It's me, Julia. Hey, why am I talking to you now? Now, of all times? Because I just my new special on Dry Bar Comedy Channel is just been released. It's called Julia Scotty Jersey Fresh, because that's what I am. I slap myself. That's how fresh I am. So you have to subscribe though to get the Dry Bar, and if you do, you get access to like I don't know thousands of other comics. But see my special first, Jersey Fresh, and if you enter my name, Julia Scotty. It's my understanding that you will get a free month of Dry Bar. So go. What are you waiting for? Okay, we're back.
Did you shut that cat up yet?
I can't shut her up. She's driving me insane. She's been sleeping all
In
day.
America.
All right, anyway, let's get
America.
right into this. We thought Ophira Eisenberg's here tonight. I'm really excited. So let's just bring her right in. Ophira, there you are.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Welcome.
Good. I'm good. Thank you.
She got $1 million smile, you do. All right. So
Oh,
I've only met you twice.
right.
I've only met you twice in the past. Once was
True.
at the Greenwich Village Comedy Club. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes.
But that no, you don't. Don't lie to me.
Yes, I do. 2019.
Do you really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
And the
yeah.
other time was with Carol.
That's right. Yeah, virtually.
You were on our virtually. And so
That's right.
welcome
Carol
to
Montgomery from
Carol Montgomery. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's get right to you. I didn't know you were Canadian,
Okay.
but now you're not Canadian.
Right. I did become an American citizen just over a year ago. I really put it off for a long time.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
we were
You
talking
know,
about
honestly,
that before. Go ahead.
with the exception of voting, which is important, increasingly important, I would say. Actually, it was always important, but I say increasingly important because I live in New York, and there's a bad lazy thing that happens here, which is if you're sort of voting the way everybody else votes here, everyone's like, but then, every vote
Then
counts.
it happened.
Then it happened.
It
So, but from every other point of view, there wasn't a great incentive for me to become a
I can
citizen.
understand.
It's the tax rules are worse as if you're an American citizen. Yeah,
But you have
because
dual. Don't you still have dual?
I do. Yeah. So, but as an American citizen, if I make money in any other country in the world, I have to pay both taxes there and taxes in America. America and I think one or two other countries in the world are the only countries that do this. For the most part, if you
So, and I don't mean to be, because it's being a citizen, but so what made you finally?
well, I have a couple things. I have a child.
Okay.
So it just felt like we should all have the same citizenship.
Why
That was
is
one
mommy
thing.
getting deported?
Yeah, although I got
To
him
Canada.
Canadian citizenship as soon as I could. So
Yeah.
I mean, because he was born to me, he became a Canadian. But then I went further and got him his passport, and everything's squared up since it is his right. He did not appreciate that as his second birthday present. I will tell you right now.
Well, for what? From 2 years old, getting a passport is not gonna, unless it's made out of chocolate.
Yeah, right. Or like talks to him. Hi, I'm a passport.
So you do. You have both citizenships. That's good.
Yeah, there was like right before the pandemic, there was a little bit of a Twitter, as one might say, in the green card community that was like, how secure do you think your green card is? Do you think if you travel under this current administration, you'll always be able to get back into the country without issue? And that scared me. And I thought,
I'm not
It
even
was
sure
scary.
I could have
It was
got
a
back in
scary
the country.
time.
Yeah, it was scary.
yeah,
Oh,
right,
But the reason
exactly.
I asked about the dual citizenship is I was thinking I think I might qualify for Italian citizenship. I do, Kath. You can shake. I do.
Really?
I checked into it. Yeah, it's expensive to do, but I'm like second generation here, and I can.
Oh, do it.
I know. I'd
Do
love
it.
to go
Gather all
live
the
over there.
passports you can.
Gather ye passports while ye can. All right, enough about passports. You let's okay. So you get to New York. Why didn't you go to LA if you were going to be a comic?
Good question. Well, let's say this. Let's just say this.
Okay,
Do
you
people
say
go
it.
to LA to be a comic?
Would I?
Yeah,
No, well,
That-
she said, "Do people go to LA?" to be a
Oh.
comic?"
because I think people go to LA to be an actor or a writer, but doing stand up there is not like doing it in New York, because all the LA comics complain that there's just not the same amount of venues and clubs. But the truth is, I never had LA on my horizon. I grew up in Calgary. I watched Sesame Street. I was looking at those apartments going, where is that? I want to live there. Honest to God, I remember thinking like, I
Interesting.
want to sit on stairs in front of an apartment with a bunch of friends and talk and like apartments. I wanted an apartment. I didn't know I was like downgrading myself.
Well, Calgary is. Were you in the suburbs? Is that? I don't know much about
It's
Calgary.
sort of, yeah, it's sort of all suburbs.
That's on the
I
west
mean,
coast. West coast. Where is
it's
that?
yeah, it's right above Washington and Montana, so
Okay,
it's
so it's way out
one
there.
over.
Yeah.
It's way out there, but landlocked, and it's the Rocky Mountains on the side, so there's a lot of skiing, and that's about an hour away. It was a very rednecky, oil-based loggers, and then big business with oil, obviously. So, but
So you
hey,
didn't do
people wore
stand up
cowboy
there,
hats.
though.
No,
Were you
I
doing
didn't.
stand up there? So you
No.
came here a comedy virgin.
Yeah, I mean, I did stand up in Toronto because I started there. And yeah, and everyone just kept talking about New York.
Wow.
Everyone kept talking about New York, kind of as this place, because Toronto always sees itself in the shadow of New York in a way. It's supposed to be Chicago, but it sees itself in the shadow of New York.
I dug Toronto. I never worked.
Yeah.
I worked there once, but it's a great city. I liked it a lot.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all Canadians. I love all the Canadian cities. I've been to almost every major Canadian city. There's basically 12 major Canadian cities, and they're all great, but they all have poor self-esteem.
Do you get back much? Do you go? Do you go?
I haven't been for a while, but I've
Okay.
I have family in Vancouver and Victoria, so I went out there a couple times, and I'm about to go to Calgary. First time in a
Who do
few
you think has the
years.
poorest self-esteem of all the cities?
So Calgary has pretty poor self-esteem because it is
Okay.
like the jock that no one thinks is that good looking, because it's like super rich. It's super rich. It's got a lot to offer because it's big business. People make a lot of money, and then there's the skiing and whatever. It's very cold. The Olympics were there. The
Right.
Winter Olympics were there. It's got some decent sports teams, but it feels unappreciated. So it's sort of whiny.
Like New Jersey. It's kind of like the New Jersey of Canada.
Yeah, right. Without the toughness. Like, I don't think it has the same. Like, New
That's
Jersey
true.
always has like a little bit of a like, maybe you might punch me. Actually, you know what? I think someone in Calgary might punch me. So
No
I
one
take
would
it back.
punch you.
I'll
They
give you a
punched you,
list.
they'd have to come through us first.
Thanks, appreciate it.
No, if you're counting on me to defend you, you're a dead woman because I can't even climb stairs anymore. But let me.
She
So
could
were you?
fall on them.
Did you do radio up there? Up there. Look at this. Like up
Yeah,
there.
that you can
Up
say up
there.
there. That's fine. I actually, I went to Olive College there, university as we call it, and I did college radio.
In
I
Calgary or in Toronto?
in Calgary, in both actually. So in Montreal. So I I know so many cities. I went to my first year of university in Calgary, and then I switched to McGill after that first year in Montreal. So then I moved to
Okay.
Montreal. But basically, I walked into the radio station. You're like part of college. You're like, where do I belong? And I walked into the radio station, and I was like, oh, these are the people that I want to be friends with. And so I asked to do a radio show. And when you start off in college radio, I assume it's still the same. Like, you don't get the rock show or the indie show or the new wave show, or like, you don't get what the cool show.
Yeah.
You get what you like, what they need. So
Yeah.
what do they always need? They need like the 20th century classical show that's got a
Or the Peruvian
position.
Historical Society show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Polka?
So,
The
but
polka show?
I ended up doing a jazz show from 6 to 8 in the morning.
See, now that would be. I would love to have done that. I'm a jazz.
It was great.
Yeah.
So what I would do, there was a record library like with records. So I go and I would grab John Coltrane's Love Supreme, and I would put that on. And I know that it was like, that's a 9 to 12 minute song. And I would use that time to collect everything I was going to play.
It's the Stairway to Heaven of jazz songs. Yeah.
That's right.
So, but did you have a sexy jazz voice that you did? Good old jazz.
But what? It's the voice of music. Do you not find this to be a sexy jazz voice?
No,
I did smooth jazz for a while.
I can barely catch my breath. No, but that sort of Allison Steele.
Absolutely.
No.
Totally. No, I was just, I was like, hey, everybody, morning.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the jazz show.
It was called, it had a name. I named it.
What was it?
It was called Chill Until Firm.
Oh, I like that.
And I took it from Jello instructions.
Yeah. We should have called this show that. Where were you when we needed a title for this show? That's a great title. So, all right. So you come here to the city, to New York,
Yeah.
and do you know anybody? I mean, do you just go?
Yeah, I knew one person. I knew one person, but it was someone I grew up with. It was a friend that I grew up with who moved here to be a fashion designer.
Okay.
And she was pretty successful. And she let me crash, I say, because I was truly crashing with her on her, couch, futon couch in the living room of a basement. Was it an apartment? I'll call it a dwelling, of her basement dwelling.
Hostel.
Yeah.
Is it a hostel? Like a garret.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that was huge. That was huge. I don't think I could have done it any other way because I didn't have any money, and I not a trust fund kid, and I didn't have parental support.
What was your degree
I
in?
came here like an idiot. Oh, cultural anthropology.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's what the job
Yeah,
offers for.
Big,
Yeah,
right,
just
exactly.
pouring
money
in,
there.
So you
Yeah.
tell your parents, I'm going to New York to do what?
Yep.
Be a comic?
Yeah.
And what was their response?
Well, so it would be just my mother, and I'm the youngest of 6, and I think at that point, so there was just a little bit of when you're the youngest, you just get away with more because they've seen it all a little bit. So it's like whatever. And
Yeah.
also, I had already at 17, I told my mother that I was going to travel to Australia for a year alone. Actually, I told her that at 16, and she forbid me, and I went. I saved up my own money and I
You
went.
went to Australia for a year?
Yeah.
Good look at you.
So
Look at
I think
you.
by that point, she was like, I can't really tell you what to do.
Okay, so you get here. I mean, on the flight here, are you scratching
scared.
out
She was
on
scared.
paper what you're going to do? Because you're like that girl. You're like Marlo
And
Thomas here.
I wasn't that young though either. I was almost 30, so I didn't come here. I was the same. I'm still naive. Can I tell you something? I'm still like the biggest naive idiot on the planet. You want someone to play a practical joke on? I'm sitting here, right here. I'm
Well,
the perfect candidate.
it's good to let the public know that because
That's good.
like New Yorkers they'd be very sympathetic to you.
I'm so ridiculous. So yeah,
So
I just came here with like it's all gonna work out. I through what I did? I called up a bunch of comedy clubs and said, "Oh, I'm just I moved here from Canada, and let me know when I can play on your stage," basically. And they were all
with
like,
no material.
well, I'd done some stand up in Toronto, so I had
Okay.
done
Yeah.
some stand up. Yeah. And so but they didn't care. They put me in touch with something I'd never heard of in Canada, which was the New Talent Night, which was a bringer show, shows where if you want to
Right.
get up on stage, you got to bring 10 people. And at the time, it was the Boston Comedy Club that was,
Down in the village.
basically not in Boston. Yeah,
Yeah,
down
down
in
the
the
village.
village.
Wow,
That
that was a
said,
while ago then. That was a while
yeah,
ago.
yeah, 2001.
Wow. Okay.
That said to me, okay, yeah, you can do a spot on a whatever Wednesday night. I was so excited. I was like, this is amazing. Everyone else basically said no, or put me in touch with someone that said, okay, can you bring 10 people? And I was like, I just moved here. I don't know anyone. And so, but Boston Comedy Club just said, yeah, you want to do like next Wednesday? And I was like, yeah, great. I was so excited. And then as that approached, I got a call the morning of, or I believe, saying, hey, you don't have any reservations. And I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, you have to bring 5 people. And I was like, I didn't know that. I don't know anyone here. And they're like, well, either you bring 5 people or you can't go on. So
I
my
hated that.
fashion designer friend had a store. And so a retail store. So I hung out in that store and asked every single person that came to shop if they would come to my comedy show. And 2 people just said yes and said they would bring a friend. One person still is my friend, and she just happened to be in town staying with her cousin, Liz Winstead.
No. See, I hate stories like this. This happens every fucking guest we have on this show has a story like that. Me, I grew up across the river in I was in New York every night. I never met anybody. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Liz,
Yeah, so
I
I
knew,
met
I
Liz.
used to know Liz. Yeah, but yeah, years
Yeah,
ago.
so I met her. That was very cool. Anyways, I go to the show. This two people that I basically barked in from a retail establishment showed up. One of them had a friend, three people. And I was like, great, this will be fine, right? They'll be reasonable. I got 3 out of the 5. They'll be reasonable. And they said, no, unless you get 5 people, you're not going on that stage. And I was like, but these people that I asked to come, they already bought drinks and stuff. And they're like,
Wow.
you will not go on that stage. So I looked where they were marking people down, how many people came, and I waited till they put that clipboard down. It was just pen and paper, and I ran over and I marked like 4 people. Of course, I lied big. So I
She's
marked
got
4
moxie.
people.
You got
Like
moxie,
my name.
kid. Wow.
And then I got on stage, and how did the show go? Just okay.
We had Jeanette Barber on last week, and she kept every show she did. She said it sucked. That's every show
That's not
sucked.
good.
Yeah, you're supposed to suck when you start.
But you didn't give up. You kept.
I know. I'm such an idiot that way.
You got
Yeah,
stubborn.
Stubborn. And then it becomes this like, I never really did this with dating, but it just got like, why won't this work? So frustrating. Why won't this work? I got to figure out why this doesn't work. Yeah.
I think we all have that experience in one way or another. We all had that. By the way, Kathy, if you don't know who Liz Winstead is, she was the creator of the Daily Show on Comedy Central. Okay. She invented it. So
she did.
She did.
Yeah.
So meeting her was fortuitous.
No, it was amazing. And she was working on a million different things. So, and she started this whole collective of people that are doing comedy and raising awareness about, how to get how to support abortion rights and body rights for women. He does a podcast called Feminist Buzzkill. So there you go.
She's still doing it, or is it still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Good for her.
Nice.
I liked Liz. She was. I knew her back in the day when in the 1980s, mid 80s. I was president of the Professional Comedians Associations, and she was involved with the organization too.
Oh wow.
That's how we got to know her. Yeah. All right. So you get here, and you're just breaking down whatever you want. You're getting on wherever you want.
I guess so. Yeah. And then there was also there was a lot of little rooms it was like the beginning or maybe the middle, I don't even know, of what was considered the downtown scene. So there was lots of little rooms and bars,
right,
with good comics.
It's changed a lot. Now it's Brooklyn. Everybody's in Brooklyn. I hated those bringer shows. Well, I didn't have to do that when I started. There were the 3 major clubs, and you had to pass auditions to get in them, but you didn't have to bring people. When I heard that was it was just starting when I left New York, and I was like, God damn it, that's horrible. It's not hard enough for a comic. You're making it hard.
I remember taking buses, like to support friends. Would get a bus and would take people up. Yeah, we did that with a few people. John Kensel was up there. Anyway,
in New York,
at Caroline's, I remember it.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
I did many more of them as things move forward, because then it was like you needed a good tape of yourself. This is before we could all just record ourselves on our phones. It's amazing. And you would pay dear money for this VHS tape
and copies.
And copies.
Yeah, you had to get copies too.
And sometimes you would sit down go over and sit down and I don't know, work with them on it. It was the whole thing was a
nightmare. It was a racket. Well, even getting headshots, we used to have to send the master shot down to North Carolina. There was an ABC photo, I think.
Yes,
was the name of it. Right, that was it, right there. And you'd order 150 of them.
100. I think I still have 99 of them.
I just threw out. I ordered 500. I just threw out literally about 350, 400 right in the trash.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most of the photos there was a documentary in my life, but most of the photos that Susan used came from ABC Photo. That they're old
Great.
headshots, you know. Yeah.
Great.
So
So, any of your other siblings in the business, or
No, not at all.
no? Okay, so you're
No,
the only
they're
one
all
out
they're
of
all
6.
very funny. Yeah, they're very
Okay.
funny, and when I'm around them, I barely speak because there is no room. There still is no room. And I think they find me very serious.
I
I just yeah. So and they're not like a laugh a minute, but they all are very funny. There's a lot of sarcasm. There's a lot of storytelling for sure. And yeah, I have a brother who definitely doesn't know. He loves to take things too far. Like that's his idea
Oh
of
yeah.
a joke. But I think the seat of it, as I get older, I learned that the seat of everything, like the baseline where they're all coming from, is intense anger.
That's funny you use that word because I was watching you today. I was watching your special, and
Yeah.
what I was trying to describe it to myself because I wanted to talk to you about it. And there's a gentle intensity about you.
Aw, thanks.
Th-
Like anger, like simmering fury.
It's but it's not mean spirited,
No,
but it is intense. It's gentle. I can't. That's the best way I could think of to describe it. It's very funny,
I
by the way.
love that. I love that.
Well, then you can
I'm writing that
write
down.
it down. Go
Gentle.
ahead. Yeah,
I'm writing it down.
Julia
Gentle
Scotti
intensity.
says,
I'm
gentle.
totally saying that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I
No,
would
thank
have.
you.
Thank you for watching the special. It was
I want
so.
to watch the
Oh,
rest of it. It's very funny. Uh,
thanks.
I
Yeah,
want to
it
give
was.
them.
It's called plant-based jokes. Although I love that phrase. I am not. Some people are like, oh, is it going to be all things about diets? No, I just love that phrase.
Yeah, I didn't see anything in there about being a vegan or anything like that.
No,
"Are you
no,
a vegan?"
I'm not. No.
Okay. Okay.
Would you
I
like to
mean, I
be?
guess I should be because I recently hosted a benefit for like most things, the bettering the world, and they basically said, "Do you want to do something about it? Either you fly yourself over to the Sumatran rainforests and start fighting the fight, or eat a plant-based diet."
You know what I'm doing?
Those were
I'm
the only
saving
2
the.
options?
Wait a
You
minute.
can give money.
Let me
Oh.
tell her what I'm doing. I'm using bamboo toilet paper.
How is that?
Very good.
Yeah.
It's very good. Yeah, and I'm using compostable garbage bags.
Yes, I know. Those are amazing. I love the way they feel,
They
frankly.
feel right, don't they feel good? I wish
Like
clothing was made.
silky.
They
Yeah.
are. Yeah. I would fist bump you, but I would knock the computer off. Stop! Shut up already with this cat. I'm so sorry about her. She normally isn't like this.
She's like that all the time.
Oh,
That's every cat owner. Actually, I do that with my child. Like he acts out. I'm like, usually he's such a, and you can tell everyone's looking and you're like,
your
no,
child
he's not.
doesn't rub along
Bullshit,
your
lady.
leg. No, she slept all day. She's all friggin' day, and now she's
Hungry,
yeah.
hungry and
No, she
attention,
got
right?
better already. She's just
No,
oh,
just
gotta pet her.
attention, right?
All right.
Do you have
Yeah.
any
let's talk
pets?
Figure out.
They're just your son.
I'll say the saddest thing. I used
Oh,
to.
no.
Oh,
That's the way it is. I think it's Tom Papa. Is it Tom Papa who has a joke right now? I'm pretty sure about like I've been married 4.5 dogs. I nearly fell on the floor.
that's a great line.
joke.
So let's talk about Ask Me Another.
Great.
How did you land that?
I landed that. So it's over, just so you know.
Yes, I know that. I know
Yes,
that. Is it
okay.
just
So
you don't want to talk about it? We can.
no, I'm fine
Oh,
with talking about it. Are you kidding? It was 9 years of my
I
life.
know. I didn't think you'd be
9.
sad about it.
No, I mean I am a little sad about it because I think
I'm
it
sorry.
would have been. I think
Way to go, Julia. Sorry.
I think it would have had a good post-pandemic life, but that I wasn't in charge of making that money decision. So I landed that weirdly. I think I was in the one and only audition that NPR ever had for anything. They put together this idea. They have a lot of quiz-like shows, and then they just obviously I say obviously, I think it's obvious that a lot of their listeners love puzzles and
Yeah.
crosswords and mind games, not like I play mind games, like the games for your
No,
mind.
real mind games. Yeah, that require
Mind
your
games.
mind. Yeah.
And so they thought, like, oh, what if we emulated the pub trivia night, but on a, much more professional, curated level. So that was the idea behind it. So they had this idea, and then they were like, we want a host who's funny, but a ringmaster, basically. And they didn't know where to look, so they were auditioning people.
What was the
And
audition
because it
like?
was,
How did you?
they gave me some scripts. Yeah, they gave me some
Yeah.
scripts of games, and I just ran the
Okay.
games in the room to a couple people that were friends who were fake contestants.
You
Yeah, it
had
was.
even the audition was a bringer. Jesus.
Everything.
Did you
have a friend?
Did you
have
know?
a friend?
Did you know you nailed it? After you.
I did. Yeah,
Okay.
I put a lot of work in, and I put a lot of effort into it because when I saw what they wanted, as someone who does stand up and I host a lot, it's partially because of that gentle intensity. And, just if you have a sort of buoyancy about your act, you're often see if you can host. People love, and I would host too because I would take as much hosting jobs as I could in the beginning because it was a way to work. You could work.
Yeah, but it was also a way to network for you
Good way to
too.
network. Yes.
Yeah,
So
some of the people.
I just,
Go
so I
ahead.
just saw what they were asking for, and I was just like, this is not hard for me. And I never felt like that.
Did you ever think about moving, like maybe to a TV game show host or something
I
like
would
that?
love
Really?
that. Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Oh
agent?
yeah.
Do you have an agent?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Clearly not doing his job.
Yeah.
If you're listening.
Well, have you pitched that to him?
Sure.
And what does he say?
He says, great idea.
Oh, I hate when they do that. Okay.
I mean, I pitched some game shows. I don't think I've pitched like the new game, but I would do that if I could. I love that world because I think what I found hosting a game show forever is that a good game show isn't about the game. That's what I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, Jeopardy without Alex
Yes.
Trebek is just a game,
It's
but with
very
him,
different.
yeah,
Yeah.
very, very different.
Very
because
different. Yeah.
you become attached to those people, and I can
And-
see how people would be attached to you
Oh,
with your
thanks.
gentle intensity. Yeah,
There is a whole thing about authority too with game shows. I mean, there is with stand up. I think we can agree, like a lot of your job of a stand up is establishing that you have authority on that
Mhm.
stage, which can be an uphill climb. I think it was for me as a woman because it took me a long time to kind of try to grasp that and decide that I even deserved it. Cool. But as a game show, like a lot of men don't love. That was all of our criticism in the beginning of Ask Me Another. That it was all men saying how much they didn't like me for more than just my, not being great at the job yet or whatever they thought. It was because there's a woman who has all of the answers. It's really hard on society, which is why I love it.
Well, I remember I was a fan of Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me back in the day, and I used to listen
Yeah.
faithfully. And didn't they put you right on after or right before it or
Right
You
on
were-
after, that's correct.
right
Yep.
after it, right? And I remember, I think maybe it was like your first show and I thought this is a cool idea, and I
Oh,
loved that right out of the box. I enjoyed the show, but you did it at the Bell House, right in Brooklyn.
That's right. Exactly.
Well, I know that because that's where Carol Montgomery and I we taped her special
yeah.
there. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
it's a cool place.
it is a very cool place. Yeah, it's a very cool in Gowanus section of
In
Brooklyn.
Gowanus.
You
Oh,
just
go
like
on.
saying that.
It's a fun name to say. It's an
It is a
Indian
fun
name,
name.
I think, right? So, all right. So you 9 years, and then it goes away, and now
Goes
you're
away.
doing a podcast.
I'm doing another podcast. Yeah, I keep trying. I don't know, maybe these are invisible forces, but I did feel like, the rebellious part of me, that what I loved about the game show was constantly shoving down people's throat that there was a woman in charge who had the answers and they didn't, even if they were on a sheet. And then now this one it's on iHeart. It's with iHeart Radio and Pretty Good Friends, and it's called Parenting is a Joke.
Great title,
Because
by the way. Another great title.
oh, thanks. That one took a long time to come up with, honestly. Oh my God, pages and pages and pages of failed names. And part of the thing was when I became a parent, which is now just 7 years ago, I was looking for something intelligent and funny and not like complainy, and I didn't want advice and I didn't want expertise. I wanted something that spoke to my experience, but was talking about it like in a way that maybe a bunch of stand-ups would. So I created it. So in this podcast, which at some point I would love to have you on. But anyways, that's the
I'd
next
love to be
discussion.
on. Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
So I talked to stand-ups. We just started. Episode 7 released today, and I talked to stand-ups about their careers, and then how having a kid has fit into it, or been a challenge with it, or how that has impacted their creative world and what they talk about and what they do. I mean, it's really impacted so far, from what I can tell, what work they do. Some people are making radical turns.
Yes. Yes. I mean, we can get into that when I'm on.
Yeah.
I'd love to do. But the material in your special about your kid, it's a boy, right? Is it a boy?
Yeah, the little boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just had me on the floor laughing at just during COVID, the stuff you were doing during COVID.
Oh my God, COVID. It's like, I mean, right. Coming out of COVID too, I was really happy that this podcast happened, because every parent I knew, especially with little kids, but even teenagers, just
even
was
worse.
broken. Was just
Yeah.
broken through the pandemic. Yeah. Except for if you lived in the parts of the country where there was no COVID.
Where was there no COVID in the country?
All kinds of places.
Huh?
Florida, I'm told there was no
Oh
COVID.
yeah, really? Oh yeah, that's right. It's like Passover. They just the Lord smiled upon Florida.
That's right.
Holy, who was it that told me today that they were welding the doors in China? They wouldn't let these people out of their homes. Is that
my
true?
God.
That they
I can't think. I would hate to think that's true. I want to believe that is just some sort of
Yeah.
way to
It sounds
othering.
good though. It sounds good. It
Exotic
sounds like we
othering.
should spread
Yeah.
that rumor. Yeah.
We need more racism. Let's work on it.
No.
Let's ramp it up. Yeah.
Well, all right. So now I'm looking. You got so many things that I want to talk about the Moth, because
Oh yeah.
I love you really are a consummate storyteller. Watching the special, that really comes across. And what's wonderful about you is the way you construct. You follow the rules of story writing, and you build that intensity. You climax and then you resolve it. And I don't mean you climax. You know what I mean? It just the story climaxes, not you. That would make the story a lot more interesting if you climax. But you know what I'm saying.
I would play more clubs for sure.
Wait, here it comes. But no, you really are a wonderful, wonderful storyteller. Talk about that a little bit, because comics don't do that as much as they should, I think.
Yeah, when I moved to New York, the style of what people were doing on stage that was getting a lot of like positive industry feedback was it was jokes. It was almost like one-liners. A little like Mitch Hedberg, I think, was on the tail end of that as being a very popular comic, but it was very joke-driven. And the stuff I had been working on in Canada was much more story-driven. And so I felt, I felt really out of it. I felt like I was writing the wrong stuff. I even had weird backhanded compliments, backhanded insults, I'm not sure, from bookers saying like, well, your style's a little too conversational. Or they would just say the storytelling was actually, now I feel like I'm just saying this all the time. So, but anyways, that's how this discussion is going. They would say that my style as a storytelling style was very too female.
Uh,
The old like, could you write more like a man, which meant more jokey.
yeah. Let
They
me.
were going
That's you bring
you
up
know,
that's a crossroads in every comics career. I think male or female. I know because I've lived with both tribes, as you know. I'm
Yeah.
So even when I was coming up and I was developing right around year 8 or 9, and I was starting to find my voice. But I was like you. I love telling stories, not to the extent that you do. I build jokes into them, but I always felt like I wish I could have been like those other guys. Clearly, that wasn't
Right.
going to be the case. But
Right.
that jokey stuff, and I feel like I lost a lot of TV back then because of what you're saying. I did the jokey joke stuff. And go ahead,
they were
Kath.
going for laughs per minute. I mean, I
Yeah,
think
they
they
were
were sitting in the
joking.
back with a stopwatch going,
Yeah,
oh,
they
you only had,
literally they were.
5
Yeah,
laughs per, and literally they're like, if you didn't have 13 laughs per minute, you weren't, or 10, I think it was.
right.
10 laughs
We
per
had to
minute
do
was,
that for America's Got Talent.
yeah.
They
Did
gave
you?
me 90 seconds, and she and I would sit. We went over my act and just chopped the shit out of it
Right.
just to get those jokey jokes in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
hated that.
But you knew what you were going to do and who you were,
Yeah,
not,
know your audience. That's what it
yeah.
comes down to.
Right.
Right.
But
So at the same time, strangely, and I don't know if it all makes sense in hindsight. The Moth was the storytelling organization, wasn't looking for stand-ups per se. Anyone could get up there on their open mic night and tell a 5 minute true story from their life. That was the whole premise. And it wasn't a podcast yet, and it wasn't a radio show or a book or anything. It was just a live show at the Nuyorican Poetry Cafe in the Lower East Side. And I just went to it and I saw a very different crowd there because it was writers and artists and people that worked in all types of angles of entertainment. And I just thought, oh, this is really cool. And no one was making money at storytelling. It was literally just like, hey, this is a cool thing that's happening. There was no ladder, there was no progression, like there was nothing. And you put your name in the hat.
did you work from notes? Were you able to go up with this?
No, you're not allowed to do
no
notes.
notes.
No
Wow.
notes. Yeah. So I had a few things that I thought would work, and so I would go to this. It was, I believe, monthly, and I would go, and I ended up hanging out with a lot of people from that world that are still some of my closest friends, and I just loved it. And then they were expanding, and they needed hosts. They needed hosts, and they needed people with those chops. And one of the producers was like, "Oh, you know kind of what you're doing on stage. Do you want to try hosting?"
Yeah.
So then I
Wow.
started hosting for them as well.
Did you find a lot of your stuff was comedy based or was funny or?
Yeah. The first story that I did for them for their main stage that ended up being on their radio show was a super sad, tragic story that I'd written, that I'd worked on, that I was maybe thinking like, oh, one day this will be part of a solo show or something. And then I brought it to them and they were like, this is a story what we want to do. So it was really interesting being like doing that. That was the story. Someone who's stand up and, is trying to make their way of being funny. And the first thing that gets out there from this organization that is just beloved was a tragic story.
Wow.
Okay, so you didn't twist it into funny. I mean, it wasn't
No, I
darkly
mean there's a
funny.
couple lighter moments in it, but it's from surviving a terrible car accident when I was a kid.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
Yeah.
Well, do you believe that it's possible? Like I'm going through something personally right now, but the
Yeah.
person that I'm going through it with, we actually talked today about letting me use what this person's going through in my act because we were just laughing about it.
Oh yeah.
That really dark black humor that you just go there. But we were dying in the car, laughing our asses off over it.
Yeah,
Do you believe that that's possible to
I
transfer that to a
do.
club
To a club. I don't know.
or a
I mean,
theater?
I think a theater. I think the best stuff is that. That's what I want to see. That's honestly what I want to
Me
see.
too.
I
Yeah.
I want to see like the kind of the most rawest moments of the human condition told to me, and then also the catharsis of the humor that goes with that.
Well,
That
that's the art of
really appeals to
storytelling,
me.
though.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that
that's the art of
really that
storytelling.
really really appeals to me. And I'm actually trying to do something like that right now with what I'm working on. And it's yeah, it's daunting because it's a much bigger responsibility. Because I think when you're telling jokes about, dating relationships, all it's stuff that it's still meaningful, but I'm going to say it's sort of on the surface.
Yeah.
It's a different responsibility when you're talking about life, death, illness, disease, like really stuff that is the heaviest part of the human condition. I feel like you have to, you can't just chop up your audience and then say good night.
Yeah, there are triggers, and you can't trigger someone.
Why not? Why
and-
can't you do that?
You gotta bring them somewhere. Like there has to be a point to it.
Well, for me, it was originally approaching the transgender experience for a
Right.
cisgender world, which I'm doing, and little by little, I've been going deeper and deeper into that experience. I don't want it to be the bulk of my act, but it certainly has grown in size, and the people are responding to it, which is great. But this thing I'm talking about is a whole different level. It's down that way down deep in that dark place.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I also think even with the parenting stuff I'm talking about with people, we're at a place right now, I think, where there's a lot less judgment on people's experiences, and there's a lot of currency put on being vulnerable and speaking what's real for you. And I think it's like a good time in some ways to explore that stuff and not feel as maybe judged in the past, or I don't want people to think I'm disservice, or we shouldn't talk about this stuff because it's too scary. I think like we're in a bit of a moment of that.
Okay, but you get all right. But here's the dilemma for us as comics.
Sure.
You
Okay.
get booked at an Elks Club in Paramus,
Right.
and well, I mean that's the reality of what we do. We can't all
Oh,
be
yeah.
artistes, working
Yeah.
some theater in Soho. So
Well, you might
do you-
die on that
Yeah.
at the Elks Club.
Oh, okay. As long as I understand what
Yeah. Oh God, no. No,
what
no.
could happen.
I feel no, it's different venues. I think, I mean, I think my first boyfriend in comedy, who was an improviser, I tried never to date a stand-up, but I did date some improvisers. Is that worse? Who knows? But he said, he goes, there's only two funny things in all of comedy. He wasn't making this up, but he's saying sex and death. And I believe that is true. That is true. I mean, I guess you could say there's a few other things, but really that's what it all is. And I think I think we've just veered we love just taking, there's so much stand up out there, and so much of it is just kind of bullshitty, but the really good ones, I feel like it's deep and dark and kind of brutal.
I agree with you, and I also agree with you that there's so much stand up out there, and because there's so many different outlets for it now,
Yeah.
social media and whatnot, that we are now. It's kind of a bonus for us as comics because we can now find our audience, and our audience can now find us, and it's good and bad because they get used to one type of comedy. It's like politics. If you only listen to one point
Yeah.
of view, you're gonna at some point that's all you want to hear, and that's not the way it should be.
Right. And there is a huge problem right now with comedy with that, about what, people throwing their political views on stage and the audience can't handle it, or they don't want to handle it. And there's a lot of pressure there. So that is the other side of like, oh God. But Elks, I believe I played the Elks Club in Paramus, by the way.
How do
so
they
I
pay?
picture it. I think it was $300.
Okay.
Well, I just did a place, and I won't say where, but it was out in Queens somewhere, and it was a very blue collar neighborhood, and I assume, I always assume that whoever's booking me knows who and what I am.
That's hilarious.
That's a presumption I'd have to get rid of,
Right.
Well, actually, when you get out there and the booker says, "Oh yeah, they know all about you and they love you," and I'm like, "Okay." So then I go into, well, in case you didn't know this, I'm transgender, and it's like it's the scene from The Producers where the Nazis come goose stepping, they just pan across the audience. It's that, and it's not going to stop me, but I feel like I need to be in front of those audiences. They need to hear what I'm saying more than
Yes.
the lovable, we love you because you're trans audience. And do you feel that way? That we
Oh,
should do
yeah.
that?
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I saw one of my favorite examples of this recently, and I'm going to mess up her name, but Marsha I can't
Warfield?
remember. Yes,
Marsha
Warfield.
Warfield?
Oh,
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
She's fantastic. So I was
Yeah.
in if your listeners don't know, she played on Night Court. She played
Right.
Roz.
Right.
And so I was in Vegas, and she was part of the lineup at the Comedy Cellar in Vegas. And she, came out and did a couple of first of all, she comes out to wild applause because everyone recognizes her from
Right.
television and they lose their mind. And so she's gained a lot of love from the audience. And then she does a couple of very funny bits about eating and Vegas and some fun stuff that everyone's on board. And then she starts talking about coming out later in life, and also about what happens when in a racist America you start teaching your Black kids how to read, and how all of a sudden history gets rewritten because of now these people are reading books and going, this is not what happened, and how we should be looking at that from a different perspective. And we're in Vegas where there's like bachelorette parties happening.
That's
And
ballsy, though. That's ballsy.
it was so great because I was just like, see, that's what you do. You get all that goodwill from them, and they're eaten out of your hand, and then you go, now this is what I'm serving.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. It's all, and every time I walk out there, I always will go, I still have that little bit of nervousness about, should I do this? Should I talk about this? And audiences for the most part have been very accepting about it. But again, I have to ask myself that I was in Utah when I just did a dry bar special.
Yeah. How was it?
Oh, it's great. It just came out. I did it like a year and a half ago.
Oh my
came
goodness.
out.
Okay.
Yeah. So
it took a long time to dry out.
but I was very cautious about talking about,
Yeah. Right.
it.
In that community.
But
yeah,
you shouldn't have to be.
I know. And so I do think, though, I always think like we shouldn't have to be. And I think we would succeed better if we were in places that felt, there's no such thing as a safe space, but felt super supportive. So you get a little bit of that baseline where you feel just so bulletproof with it that then you switch gears. I remember, who was I talking to? An actor doing all these actor interviews with different amazing actors all throughout Ask Me Another. And whenever I talked to someone about their favorite project, they always said, what made that great is that the director and this was what created this space that where there was so much trust and that I felt like I could take any risk. And when I was able to take any risk, I found this like new skill I had, or new level of performance. And I think that we kind of need that in stand-up, and it just doesn't exist.
Well, you know who gave me that set? Well, Kathy, she was, she managed me for a while, but when I did Carol Montgomery's special, and then we went on tour with it after that. But Carol, the day we taped that show, and I had asked her, even when she booked me, I said, listen, if for some reason you get shit from some of the other female comics, I will understand if you want to, not have me on the show. I will. I understand. And Carol's like, fuck them. No, you're a female. You're funny. You're going to be on my show. And that's why I love her. I mean, and going on tour, she gave me the freedom to do whatever I wanted to do up there. and it was magical. It's a
Yeah.
great feeling to be that. But that's what I mean. For somebody like you, I don't see you in a club. I see you in a theater situation.
Let's just get those tickets sold, and I'll never do a club again.
I feel the same way. I would do theaters the rest of my life. I love them. I love them so
Yeah.
much.
No problem.
Is your
Yeah, I
son
know.
funny?
I think so. Like, I don't think he is at the point where he is doing 100% original material, but
Okay.
every day he
No one
loves. Yeah, right.
that
I know
yours?
it's a lot of dick jokes. I'm just gonna say a lot of dick jokes. But he loves his 7-year-old version of wordplay. So he's constantly making up puns and then going, see what I did there? So
Wow,
yeah.
that's very advanced thinking. Even I mean, I know adult comics that can't do puns.
Well,
That's really
when I look at the stuff he's reading, and he's reading I'm now going to brag. He's reading a little bit above his level. I just want to let everyone know that my son is
Of
reading
course
above
he
his
is.
level.
Of course he is.
But the stuff that they're reading is so much more advanced. I mean, we watched a cartoon last night, and I was like, whoever's writing this is writing this for me. And I know that Charlie Brown was kind of like Peanuts was kind of like that, and even Bugs Bunny when they weren't just putting rifles in each other's faces and shooting their
Kill the
faces.
wabbit. Kill the wabbit. Yeah.
There was a lot of humor that was not for the kids.
We just taped a show with Billy West, who from
Oh yeah.
he was wonderful, but because of him, I had to go back and watch Futurama. I had never seen it before, and I got to admit, I felt like the biggest asshole because I loved the show. It was so well written and so
good.
socially. It's had such a social conscience to it,
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really good stuff.
So I just felt like it was so sophisticated. I was
Yeah.
like, did I have sophisticated stuff to watch when I was a kid? Like some of it, but a lot of it was not sophisticated.
I'm older than you.
Watching
believe me.
Sesame Street, dreaming about the buildings.
I know. I was like, oh, I hope there's something living in my garbage can. There is.
Surprise!
There is something living on my garbage can.
There is.
But thank God I have organic garbage bags to wrap it up and throw it out.
That's right. Exactly.
All right. So let me. Your
This
first
is the
book.
ADD in action right here.
No, you know what it is. I always feel like we have these great guests, and we get to a certain point in the show, and I'm looking in the guest's eyes, and I'm going, all right, is she fed up with being here? Does she just want to get out of here? Is it like a wedding or a funeral where I gotta go? I got a cramp. I gotta leave now.
How long do I have to stick? How long do we have to stay? How long do we have to go?
All right, so you're screwing everyone, sleeping my way to monogamy. That's when did you write that?
I wrote it, so it got published in 2007. I believe that's right.
I don't know. I'm asking you. It's your book.
Yeah. I know.
Okay.
I always forget when it was published because that was, honestly, I worked on those stories for years in different ways, and then I actually put together a proposal and had an agent for a while who, really worked with him for a long time, and it was so clear in hindsight that he did not like what I wrote at all. So
wow. There
was no sale there, and we went our separate ways, but it did such a number on my confidence that I thought I'll just, that's that. And then at a Moth show, actually, I think I was telling one of the stories, and there was another literary agent in the crowd, and she was like, oh, I wonder if this person has more stories, and got in contact with me, and that person actually liked my writing and thought maybe we could put something together. And I worked on a proposal for a solid year, like that huge marketing document. I was not fast, and it took me a long time, but then she sold the book. So
was it a compilation of short stories, or was it?
So it does have a narrative arc from beginning to end, but yeah, it is a whole. So it follows me through my life and ends at a certain point, obviously, while I'm still alive. But it's all my different, like, think how I growing up and how I started approaching love and what romance meant to me. And because I didn't care about getting married and I didn't really think that there was the one out there. I just liked the company of people romantically. And so I thought, I'll just date
Yeah,
all kinds of people and not care.
yeah, I know. I
Yeah.
understand that. I get that. Yes, because there's only so much of one person you could take, and then you
Yeah,
just
and fun. Like it can be fun.
yeah, yeah. But
And
then it's not.
sleeping with people is fun.
Oh, a
Yeah,
lot
and then
of
it's not.
fun.
And then it's not. And I would
Yeah,
fall in love. It's not like I had a lot of casual relationships, but I would also fall in love. And it was also, I think, like, it was also a way I got my thrills. Like some people ride roller coasters. I would, go out and find people to hang out with.
I totally understand that. I
Yeah.
went down that rabbit hole many of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Now I find, you know how I do it now? I just find people that are totally unattainable and I fall in love with them until I see the
Mm.
next one and that person's totally unattainable and it satisfies me. That's all I need at my age.
She'll say,
Yeah.
I'm going to marry Christine Baranski. And I'll
Yes.
say, does she know that? And she-
No,
Well, I'll get around to
Not
telling her.
yet.
not yet. No. Although I think I would follow through with Christine Baranski. I would.
See, she does this with a lot of people.
No, what? All right. Well, enough about my sex life. All right. So I think we've covered your entire life.
You
Ophira.
did an amazing job. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That makes me feel good.
Thank
I
you.
really
No, and
do
it's
look up. I
nice
read
talking to
about
you.
people. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
We both love talking to you.
Yeah. How about real life? We should try real life again.
I think that would be wonderful. Well, let's. We should hang out.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know when you
I
are
live in Jersey, so I mean,
Yeah. So you have to tell me when you're in the city.
I would come up anyway. Just if you said to me, "Hey, Jules, come on up," and I go, you know what, Ophira, I think I'm going to come up,
Yeah.
and I would
Have
come
lunch
up.
or something. All
I
right.
think that would be so cool. I think that would
Okay.
be very cool. Yeah. All right.
Let's make that happen. I'd love that.
So would I.
Okay.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Julia, this isn't even a show. Julia just does this to meet new people. Just
That's
to
right.
Get friends on the hook for lunch. And
When you
this
go
isn't going to air anywhere.
tomorrow morning, I'm going to call Kathy up and go. I think I love her. I think I'm.
You know, I'm going to marry.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap up. Do you plug in anything that you want us to?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. If you want to listen to my new podcast, Parenting is a Joke, which Julia will be on sometime in the near future, you can find it wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, etc. You'll love it. Right now, the next episode is with Rachel Bloom, who you probably know from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and the Hulu series Reboot. Very funny.
Very
So.
cool. Very, very cool. Well, I got to tell you, we didn't get to know each other when we did the Carol and I, podcast. We kind of, but this has been wonderful. I really.
So, I mean, I'm very flattered too. So thank you.
Oh, don't be flattered. We were thrilled to have you. Are you kidding me? So I guess.
Thank you.
All right. So well, we're gonna play us out. Jimmy should
Okay.
have the music. Jimmy should have the music coming up even as we speak when he hears me do it.
Perfect.
Yeah, but he's probably eating a sandwich somewhere back in Philadelphia where he is. So if
Okay.
I keep talking, eventually the music will come up, but not yet. So there we go. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just hang out and we'll talk after we go up. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon. That's our original song.